Listen closely, because this is where Emily's quiet mistake turns into something she can no longer outrun. For 2 years, she wrote secret letters to a federal prisoner named Nathan Cole using a fake name, Vanessa. Vanessa was bold, reckless, and nothing like the woman Emily saw in the mirror. But Nathan has just been released early, and now he is standing outside Emily's real front door. He knocks 3 times calm as ever, and calls her by the name that was only supposed to exist on paper. Emily's heart nearly stops. The life she invented has found its way home. Emily stares at her laptop, unable to move. Her coffee mug slips from her hand, but she barely notices. The screen says Nathan Cole was released today. He was not supposed to be out for another 8 years. Her mind goes blank. This man used to be a mob enforcer, and he has 61 letters from her, all with her real return address on them. The worst part is that she has no idea what he wants now. She thought the distance made everything harmless. Now the distance is gone. Emily had misjudged everything. She created Vanessa one lonely Thursday night because she wanted to feel stronger than she was. Vanessa was confident, sharp, and never afraid to say the wrong thing. But now the man she wrote to is free and he knows where she lives. Emily panics. She hits her knee on the table, races to the closet, and starts throwing random things into a bag: a college sweater, 2 mismatched socks, and a dress she has not worn since 2021. It is not a plan. It is fear trying to look like movement. Emily keeps dropping the same sweater because her hands will not stop shaking. She has no real escape plan. Just a half-packed bag and a dying houseplant watching from the corner. What started as one foolish decision has become something much bigger. At first, the prison pen pal program felt safe. Nathan was locked away in a federal facility, serving 12 years for racketeering. She convinced herself he was just a complicated man who could change. Now she realizes she had been calling danger complicated, because it sounded less frightening. Emily signed up for the program during the loneliest month of her life. She felt disconnected from everything, like she was only watching her own life happen from the outside. She was matched with prisoner, 448,816 at a Pennsylvania facility. Her first draft was written as Emily, timid, careful, almost apologetic. She deleted it. Then Vanessa appeared on the screen. No plan, no strategy. Just a version of herself who was braver than she knew how to be. At the time, the lie felt small. That was what made it easy to keep. By the 4th draft, Vanessa Reed had taken over. She was direct, sharp, and unafraid of a federal convict. Emily mailed the letter with her real return address, which was the first serious mistake. She was certain Nathan would ignore her. Instead, he wrote back 11 days later. Now 2 years later, 3 heavy knocks land on her door. Nathan is not rushing. He sounds like a man who knows he already has her attention. Emily stands frozen, listening to the breathing silence between them. The silence after the knocks feels unbearable. Then Nathan's voice comes through the door, low, patient, and exactly how Emily imagined it from the letters. But then he says her real name, Emily Carter, not Vanessa. He knows. Her duffel bag slips to the floor as she backs against the wall. Her phone is only a few steps away in the living room, but it feels impossible to reach. She is trapped inside her own home, not by a locked door, but by every letter she ever sent. Her mind tells her to call the police, but what would she even say? That her Mafia pen pal is outside because she lied to him for 2 years. Nathan speaks again, still calm, telling her he knows she is inside. His patience frightens her more than anger would have. Anger is easier to understand. This quiet control is something else. He even notices the light shifting under the door. Then he says he is not there to scare her. Emily almost laughs, because nothing about this feels harmless. Emily presses her palms against the wall and somehow finds her voice. She tells him he is doing a terrible job of not scaring her, to her surprise. He laughs softly. She hates that his real voice matches the letters, precise, controlled, and patient. It makes it harder to keep seeing him as only a threat. Finally, she asks the question she cannot avoid. How did he find her? The words come out thin, but they come out. For the first time since the knock, she is not completely silent. Nathan tells her she gave him the map herself. Emily argues that inmates are not supposed to have access to that kind of information. But Nathan is not just any inmate. He memorized her life through 61 letters, her library, her favorite park route, the loose stone she always avoided. He even noticed that her handwriting changed when she was tired. He had known her secret for nearly 9 months. Emily feels exposed in a way that has nothing to do with locks or doors. Emily asks why he stayed quiet if he knew the truth. Nathan pauses before answering. He says he did not want her to stop writing. That answer knocks the air out of her. Emily tells him to leave because she is terrified. And to her surprise he agrees. No threats. No forcing his way inside. He gives her one address, the Grant Hotel, room 509. He tells her to come when she is ready to be honest. Then he walks away somehow. The choice he leaves behind feels almost heavier than the fear. Emily slides down the wall and sits there for hours beside her useless half-packed bag. A man locked in a federal cell had uncovered her double life and kept playing along. He had built something real with a person who was partly a lie. She cannot stop thinking about room 509. But the next morning, life does not pause for her crisis. She still has to go to work at the library. Her coworker Diane looks at her once and says she looks like she lost a fight. Emily almost tells her the truth, then swallows it. Diane immediately proves why she is Emily's closest friend. She hands her coffee made exactly the way she likes it. Which means Diane knew something was wrong before Emily said a word. Emily tries to act normal, putting on her lanyard and stacking books. But she lasts only 20 minutes before Diane corners her. Diane asks if it is a man. Emily says nothing. Diane simply nods, satisfied with her own conclusion. She does not push. She only stays close enough that Emily knows she could speak if she wanted to. Emily stands in the history section, caught between the Ottoman Empire and the Civil War, asking Diane whether this man is terrible. Diane says complicated is better than boring, but Emily knows complicated is too gentle a word. Nathan is terrifying. Another word she is trying not to admit is inevitable. Some fears do not fade just because you avoid them. Then her phone buzzes at 2:17 in the afternoon. An unknown number asks if she is still at the library. Emily stares at the screen, her heart pounding. She types back, demanding to know how he got her number. His reply quotes one of her old letters word for word, reminding her that she once gave it to him for emergencies. She says she only knows the man from the letters. He takes a long minute to respond. Then he says he only knows her from the letters too. But he spent 8 months, thinking that might be enough to start with. He knew she was lying for almost a year, and still he read every word, trying to decide whether the woman beneath the false name was real. Nathan had found something genuine beneath the fake name and the invented backstory. Emily shoves the phone into her pocket and shelves 17 books without registering a single title. 3 days later, every instinct tells her not to go, but she walks into the Grant Hotel anyway. Twice in the elevator, she nearly turns back. The 5th floor is quiet. Room 509 sits at the end of the hallway. She knocks, the door opens, and Nathan is there. 58, silver-haired, carrying a stillness that makes the hallway feel smaller. Seeing him in person, Emily realizes he is both exactly as she pictured and completely different. He watches her carefully, waiting for her to decide. Then he says her real name, Emily, not Vanessa. She stammers that Vanessa was fake. Nathan steps aside and lets her choose whether to enter. He tells her that her real self came through in every letter, even when she tried to hide it. Emily stays rooted in the doorway. The fake name had been easy on paper. Here in front of him it feels painfully small. Despite the lies, the fear, and the safety of distance, something real had grown between them. Emily finally steps inside, and the door clicks shut behind her. For the first time in a long while, she has no fake name to hide behind. She is frightened, flawed, and standing in the truth she created. But Emily still has no idea who Nathan truly was. She thinks he is a former white-collar criminal with a dark past. She does not yet know what his name once meant across 6 states. She also does not know that 3 dangerous people have already tracked her to this room, and one of them is on the way. Emily stands in her winter coat, hands trembling, scanning the room to buy herself time. On the small table are 2 cups of coffee, one used, one untouched. He made one in case she came. That detail hits her harder than she expects. Nathan sits in the chair farthest from her, giving her space to leave if she panics. He says they can talk whether she sits or stands. Emily sits, clutching her purse like a shield. Nathan looks at her with the same controlled calm she heard in his letters. Emily realizes this man has spent his adult life in rooms with dangerous people, and he survived by becoming the calmest person there. She cannot tell whether that makes him safe or more dangerous than anyone else in the building. He breaks the silence and tells her to ask what she came to ask. She admits she does not know where to begin. He tells her to start with what keeps her awake. So she looks him in the eye and asks what he did to earn 12 years in federal prison. The room goes still. Nathan does not flinch or look away. He simply says she looked up his record. Emily admits she saw the racketeering and conspiracy charges and tried to explain them away in her own mind. She catches herself and says she was making excuses for a criminal. Nathan takes a long pause. It does not feel like a lie forming. It feels like a man deciding how much truth she can bear. Then he tells her he ran underground operations, logistics, dirty money, the hidden machinery that kept the Mafia moving. He explains that his job was moving illegal goods and money without drawing law enforcement's attention. He clarifies that he never pulled the trigger himself, not because he thinks that makes him innocent, but because facts matter. Then his tone changes. He says the people he worked for were not names on a police file. They were real, violent, and powerful. Emily asks how serious it was. Nathan looks at her and says he cooperated with the federal government. He traded information for 8 years off his sentence. Some people still do not know he talked, the ones who do want him dead. Emily has not touched her coffee. Her mind races as she asks whether dangerous people are actively hunting him. Nathan nods. He says a hit squad wants him dead, and he refused to let her step into his life without knowing the target on his back. The honesty terrifies her. But it also steadies something inside her. When she asks why he is telling her, he says it is because she came. If she had stayed home, she might have remained outside of it, but she knocked, and he will not let her walk into his past blind. Emily sits with that reality until she finally says, most men would have lied about a past like his. Nathan answers that most men did not spend 2 years reading letters from a woman who treated honesty like something sacred. She leaves an hour later, coffee untouched, then she returns the next day and the day after that. It becomes a strange morning routine before her library shift. 45 minutes in a hotel room with a former mob boss who listens. He does not ask polite, empty questions. He asks about her life as if every answer matters. He asks what she is good at, and Emily realizes almost no one ever asks her that. On the third morning, she tells him she is good at research. Give her a small clue in a database and she can find almost anything. People think she only organizes books, but she knows how to uncover what others miss. Nathan leans back and says that is a useful skill in his old line of work, before she can react. He half smiles and tells her not to get ideas, because he is retired. Emily raises an eyebrow and says he is not retired. Trouble has simply followed him into a smaller room. Nathan is quiet for a moment, then gives her a simple nod, no excuses, no performance, just honesty. Emily has spent years around people who laugh too loudly, or change the subject when things get uncomfortable. Nathan does neither. He leaves the truth on the table and lets it sit there. By the 5th day, they finally go outside together. They visit a cafe on Clement Street because 14 months earlier, Emily had complained in a letter about its terrible scones. Nathan remembered. Right down to the name of the baker she was too polite to criticize. It feels strange for Emily to walk beside someone she once knew only through letters. Everything is suddenly real. The way Nathan orders black coffee. The way the barista looks twice at him. The way he carries himself like a man who has wasted no words in years. Emily orders the scone she hates. Nathan studies it and says it looks awful. She laughs and reminds him she wrote an entire letter about not wanting to hurt the baker's feelings. Nathan gives her a look and points out that she cannot be honest with a baker, yet she has told him some of her deepest truths. Emily stares at the miserable scone and admits she's trying to work on herself, right there, over bad coffee and worse pastry. Something between them changes. This is not the polished world of their letters. This is real life. 2 people at a small cafe table, trying to understand what they are becoming. It is awkward and frightening, but there is warmth in it too. Emily admits she does not know how to handle a real relationship. Nathan, usually so guarded, says he does not either, for once. Neither of them hides behind the stronger version of themselves. Nathan says this cafe date is not normal. Emily smirks and says that makes them even then. On an ordinary Tuesday, everything shifts. Emily is shelving books at the library when she hears footsteps that do not belong to a casual reader. Heavy, measured, deliberate. She turns and sees a man in his late 40s, average build, with the forgettable face of someone trained to disappear. He holds a history book covering 1865 to 1900, but his eyes are fixed on her. He says, "Miss Carter," not as a question. It sounds like Nathan's formality, but with none of the warmth. Emily's fear spikes, but her voice stays steady as she asks if he needs help. The man points toward a table by the window and says they should have a quiet talk. Then he reminds her that no one wants a scene in a library. Emily holds his gaze before sitting down. He sits across from her, sets the book on the table, and lays both hands flat as if that should make him seem harmless. It does not. It makes him look like a predator trying to seem polite. He introduces himself as Travis Kane. Emily gives him nothing. Travis lists her routine with Nathan. The hotel visits, the coffee, the walking route. He even mentions the loose stone on the path she avoids. Emily feels the blood drain from her face. That is the same detail Nathan noticed. Two men have been watching her closely, from opposite sides of the same dark world. Emily asks what he wants. Travis folds his hands with the calm of a man used to ruining lives. He says Nathan made terrible choices in the past, and men like Nathan do not get to walk away clean. Travis tells her Nathan's past is permanent. A judge signing a release order does not turn him into a normal man. Then Travis makes his threat clear. If Emily tries to give Nathan a happy ending, she will be the first thing taken from him. Emily asks if he is threatening her. Travis says he is explaining the rules. He warns her that Nathan's deal with the government destroyed men who once trusted him. Then he gives her a name, Dominic Reeves. If she wants the truth, Travis says, she should ask Nathan what happened to Dominic in October 2019. Travis stands, leaving her with that name like a blade on the table. Before walking away, he asks whether a woman hiding behind fake names is really strong enough to face the bloody truth. He shoves the history book back into the wrong section and leaves. Emily sits frozen. Then she texts Nathan that they need to talk. Less than a minute later, he replies that he already knows Travis approached her. He says he has been waiting for this trap to spring. Emily can barely breathe. The past has not returned quietly. It has sent a messenger. Emily demands to know who Travis really is. Nathan tells her to come to the hotel that night, and he will tell her everything. She spends the rest of her shift shelving books without seeing them. Travis did not only threaten her, he used his words carefully, planting doubt exactly where it would hurt. When Emily finally burst into Nathan's room, he is standing by the window, jaw tight, carrying the look of a man who has been waiting for an old sin to find him. Emily does not ease into it. She says Dominic Reeves' name. Emily tells him Travis sent her with that name. Nathan sets his coffee down slowly and says Travis would choose that one. Emily demands the truth. Nathan is still, but something underneath that stillness has changed. It is not fear. It is the expression of a man standing at the edge of a cliff, knowing the next words might destroy what they have built. He tells her that in October 2019, Dominic Reeves was a young man working in their logistics network. Dominic was also one of Travis' favorites. The kind of man Travis believed should have been protected at any cost. Nathan says Dominic got greedy. He stole syndicate money and tried to blame an innocent man. Nathan discovered it 4 days before the bosses did. He had a choice: stay quiet and let someone innocent take the fall, or report Dominic and let the consequences come in that world. Most men looked away. Nathan did not. He went to the bosses and told them the truth. Because of that, Dominic spent 8 months in a hospital and never walked right again. Travis never forgave Nathan for it. To Travis, that was the first betrayal. Emily tries to absorb what he just said. She asks if he is admitting that he got a young man nearly beaten to death. Nathan says he filed a report. Then he looks her in the eye and admits he knew what would happen after he filed it. He is not asking for forgiveness. He is not dressing it up. Emily stands frozen, thinking of Vanessa, who always had the perfect line. But the real Emily has no clever answer for a truth soaked in violence. Nathan's honesty does not make the story easier. It only makes it impossible to ignore. Emily finally asks why he cooperated with the federal government. Nathan does not hesitate. He says it was because of Marcus. Marcus was 22. A kid who made a small money mistake with the wrong people. Nathan was not there in time to save him. That guilt stayed with him longer than prison ever could. It followed him into every cell, every hearing, every letter he wrote after midnight. Marcus was not the only life damaged by the syndicate, but he was the one Nathan could not stop seeing when he closed his eyes. Nathan admits he went to federal prosecutors and gave them everything. Not just enough to cut a deal, everything. He would have taken the full 12 years if that had been the price. He wanted the syndicate he helped build to collapse. Emily's legs weaken, and she drops into a chair. Nathan had destroyed his own underworld life, but he reminds her that Travis Kane is at her library, because the past does not disappear just because you decide to leave it. Travis lost power, money and men when Nathan talked. Now he wants to take back control by destroying the man who broke the system. Nathan leans forward and tells her he needs the real Emily now, not Vanessa. Then he gives her a way out, if she wants to leave. He says he will make sure Travis never looks in her direction again. She can return to the library, the bad scones, and the quiet life she had before him. He means it. There is still enough of the old Nathan left to make dangerous people step back. Emily understands the weight of the offer. It would be safer to walk away. It would also mean pretending this had not already changed her. But Emily knows she is already involved. Travis knows her roots, her job, her mail, and her address. She has been exposed since the day she put her real return address on that first envelope, so instead of leaving, she asks Nathan one question. Did he keep writing for 8 months because he liked Vanessa, or because he saw Emily underneath? Nathan looks at her for a long moment. His face softens barely but enough for her to notice. Then he says, "Always Emily," for the first time that night. The room feels less like a trap and more like a confession. Emily tells him she is not walking away. At that same moment, across the city, Travis Kane sits in a dark car outside the Grant Hotel. Watching the light in room 509, he lifts his phone and gives a short order. She is staying, move up. Emily has no idea. She remains in Nathan's room until 2 in the morning, holding a cup of coffee, long gone cold. She should have run, but she stayed. Nathan does not thank her. He only sits beside her in silence, and somehow that feels more honest than gratitude. Instead of talking about hitmen and federal deals, Emily and Nathan talk about family. Nathan asks about her mother, and Emily admits her mother treats her whole life like a problem to solve. Nathan listens without interrupting, without offering easy advice. Emily tells him Vanessa came from the 4th draft of a letter. Nathan tells her the exact line that made him suspect she was lying. It was something she wrote about silence. He knew the difference between chosen silence and forced silence. Emily asks how he knew. He only says prison teaches a man to hear what people are not saying. Emily walks home at 2:15 in the morning and cuts through the park without looking over her shoulder. It is a mistake the next morning. She opens her door expecting the newspaper and finds an unmarked envelope on her welcome mat. It was hand-delivered during the night. Inside is one of her own letters from 14 months ago, a letter she believed was safely hidden in the past, across her handwriting. Someone has scrawled 4 words in thick red marker. Her secret life is no longer secret. The message says Vanessa was brave, run. Emily locks the door and calls Nathan. He answers on the second ring, as if he had been awake waiting for something to happen. She tells him about the letter, and Nathan's voice shifts into something sharp and practical. Lock everything, he says. He will be there in 8 minutes. He arrives in 6. Emily opens the door on the chain, checks that it is really him and lets him in. Travis has access to her mail. The threat is no longer watching from a distance. It has stepped onto her doorstep. Nathan does not panic. He studies the letter like a device that might explode. He realizes Travis must have someone inside the witness protection system feeding him information. Then he explains the mind game. Travis wants Emily to run. If she runs, fear controls her, and frightened people are easier to move. Nathan asks if she is scared. Emily looks at him and says yes, but she is not running. Something in Nathan's face changes. It is not surprise exactly, it is recognition. He is beginning to understand that Emily is braver than Vanessa ever was. That is the moment Nathan understands he cannot keep her outside the danger anymore. He pulls out his phone and says he needs to call Grace Turner. Grace is the FBI agent who handled his cooperation deal, navigating dirty cops, mob pressure, and federal politics to keep the case intact. Emily asks why he has a federal agent's private number. Nathan says he has several, though he prefers not to use them. Emily almost smiles despite the fear. There is something absurd about needing coffee, a lock, and the FBI before breakfast. Emily stares at her own handwriting beneath that red warning. 14 months ago, she had written those words believing she was safe, tucked away in a life the mob could never touch. Now that illusion is gone. She asks Nathan how long Travis has been reading her mail. Nathan gives the answer she does not want, long enough to choose the letter that would frighten her most. The words themselves are not the threat. The access is. Travis does not only want to hurt them. He wants them to know how carefully he has been studying them. Nathan says Travis is showing her he can reach anywhere. Emily does not break down instead. She asks to see every letter she ever sent Nathan. If Travis has information on her, she needs to know exactly what it is. She tells Nathan she is a librarian. Finding things is what she does. If she is in this fight, she wants to be useful. Nathan sees that she means it. He takes a small key from his jacket and sets it on the table. The letters are in a storage unit on Brennan Street. Emily picks up the key before fear can talk her out of it. Nathan admits he moved her letters into a secure lockup as soon as he got out of prison, once the danger began circling. He knew better than to leave them in a hotel room. He wanted her to know he kept everyone. 40 minutes later, the burner phone rings. It is Grace Turner. Emily has spent the entire wait making coffee just to keep her hands busy, while the marked letter sits face down on the kitchen table. Grace wastes no time on small talk. Her first question is whether anyone else has touched the envelope. Grace understands immediately. A hand-delivered letter means Travis is local. He is not threatening them from a distance anymore. He is in the city. She asks if Emily is with Nathan when he says yes. Grace's tone hardens. She warns them that Travis is a real threat. Not a man who makes empty gestures. Emily says the letter already made that clear. Grace tells Nathan to stay still for 48 hours while she hunts Travis down. Nathan hates the order, but he does not argue. That tells Emily more than any warning could. Grace says they had been watching Travis since Nathan's release, but he disappeared 3 weeks earlier. She tells them not to provoke him into moving faster, then ends the call. The room goes quiet, 48 hours. That is how long they have to wait, while a man who knows Emily's address walks free. Emily looks at the letter and thinks of the storage unit. Of 61 letters boxed away, because Nathan, hardened as he is, kept every word she sent him. She wants to ask why he kept them all. But she already knows the answer would matter too much. He kept the letters even after he knew she was pretending. Emily looks at a man who ran operations for criminals across 6 states. A man who destroyed his own empire because Marcus, a 22-year-old kid, deserved better. He read her false letters for 8 months and wrote back anyway. Now she asks the question she has been afraid to ask. Was Travis right? Can a man like Nathan ever have a normal life? Nathan is silent for a long time. Then he admits he does not know. It is the most honest answer he can give, and the one that hurts the most. Nathan tells her there may be a version of his life where he gets free, but he does not know whether that door is still open. Then the 48-hour wait begins. Waiting for danger is its own kind of torture. Emily goes to work and tries to act normal. She shelves books. She eats lunch while Diane talks about the very pen pal program that started this entire mess. Emily nods. But her mind is full of red ink and hitmen. On the second day, Grace calls Nathan again this time. Nathan puts the phone on speaker before Emily can ask. Emily has stopped pretending she can stay separate from this. She is with Nathan when Grace calls, and this time the news is worse. Dominic Reeves has been found dead in a Southside warehouse. The killer used Nathan's old signature method. It is not just murder. It is a frame job. The hotel room goes silent. Nathan's voice turns flat as he says he was in the room all night, and Emily was with him until 2:15 in the morning. Emily understands the shape of it immediately. Travis is not only trying to scare Nathan. He is trying to erase the life Nathan fought to rebuild. Nathan insists he has not left the hotel, but Grace already knows. She pulled the footage. He is not the suspect, he is the target. Travis killed Reeves to pin it on Nathan, using a method so specific the police would assume Nathan had returned to his old life. Grace warns them that Travis is no longer just trying to scare Emily. He is trying to put Nathan back in prison. Emily watches Nathan absorb it. He becomes very still, fighting the urge to go after the people who did this. Travis knows exactly which old wound to press. Nathan asks what Grace wants him to do. She tells him to do nothing. Stay put, let her handle the federal side. Do not contact anyone from his old life. Then she says Emily needs to leave immediately. The farther she is from him, the safer she will be. The call ends. Nathan tells Emily to pack up and go home, but she can see through him. Beneath his calm is a rage he is barely holding back. He wants to protect her by pushing her out of the room. Emily is tired of people deciding what she can survive. Emily calls him out. She tells him he is trying to make the choice for her, just like he did with Marcus. The name lands hard. Nathan flinches before his expression closes again. Emily keeps going. He made decisions for Marcus without all the facts. And now he is trying to do the same thing to her without asking what she wants. Nathan says he has all the facts he needs. A man is dead. And his former ally is using the body to lock him away. Emily says that is exactly why he does not get to stand alone. Nathan's control begins to crack. He says going home is the only way she can escape this. Emily pushes back. Travis already knows her routine. Her workplace and her mail. He threatened her in public. Sending her away would not remove the target, it would leave her alone with it. She tells Nathan she will not hide like someone helpless. Nathan looks at her and something shifts in his eyes. Not softness exactly, but respect. Finally he says okay, it is not surrender, it is trust, and Emily feels the weight of it. Emily sits and grabs her phone before she even knows what she is looking for. Her researcher's instinct takes over. Travis accessed Nathan's secure mail. He knew details that were never public. He used Dominic's murder to frame Nathan. And he knew exactly when to move. Then Emily remembers a small detail from a letter Nathan wrote 16 months earlier. Something she had almost memorized without meaning to. It had seemed harmless at the time. Just another careful sentence in a long letter. Now it feels like a loose thread. That old letter mentioned Eastfield Logistics, a shell company the syndicate once used to move dirty money. Nathan had written carefully, never naming too much, but he gave enough for Emily to follow. She logs into the library database from her phone and pulls corporate records, with old filings and Nathan's unsealed federal documents. Diane had once said Emily was terrifyingly good at research because she did not look for what she wanted to find. She looked for what was actually there. Tonight, that habit may be the only thing keeping them ahead. 40 minutes later, Emily finds it. Eastfield was supposedly shut down in 2017. But the same people opened a new company in Delaware under a different name. Same address, same paperwork pattern, same money trail. Then she sees the name that changes everything. One listed advisor is not Travis. It is Carver, a witness from Nathan's federal deal. A man who was supposed to be helping the government. Instead, Carver was still tied to Travis. Emily does not speak at first. She just turns the screen toward Nathan. Emily tells Nathan she found the leak. He steps closer and reads the evidence. For a moment, his composure cracks. Carver, he whispers. Carver was the man who gave the FBI locations, accounts, and names. Nathan says Carver was supposed to be clean. Emily shows him the Delaware registration from 2019, right after the plea deal. Carver was never clean. He had been feeding Travis information the entire time. That means Travis did not stumble onto Emily by luck. He was handed Nathan's release date, his prison mail, and the address on every letter. Nathan pieces it together. Carver had access to his federal file, including the mail logs and the list of people connected to his case. That is how Travis found Emily and knew when to move. Nathan slams his hands on the table, horrified that the protection he relied on was compromised from the beginning. Emily connects the rest. Travis had been hunting them with a map they did not know existed. Then her expression hardens. Now they have the map too. For the first time since Travis entered the library, Emily feels the direction of the fight begin to shift. The room changes. Emily is no longer a pen pal hiding behind old letters. She is inside the fight, holding the piece of evidence that could break the revenge plot open. Call Grace, she says. Tell her everything. Nathan reaches for the phone, then looks at her with unmistakable respect. He tells her she found the smoking gun. Emily knows it, and she also knows that when Travis finds out, he will put a larger target on her back. Still, her hands are steady. She is not fearless. She is simply done being moved around the board. Emily realizes she has to be braver than the fake woman she invented. Nathan makes the call. 40 minutes later, Grace Turner arrives at the hotel and surprises Emily completely. She is not a polished, distant federal stereotype. She looks tired, sharp, and deeply experienced, wearing a dark jacket and an unreadable face. She ignores Nathan at first and looks straight at Emily. You found Eastfield, she says. Emily confirms the Delaware registration. Grace's eyes sharpen for the first time. Emily feels like someone in authority is taking her seriously, not just trying to move her out of danger. Emily lays out the facts in plain order. Eastfield shut down, a Delaware company replaced it, and Carver's name appears where it never should. Grace takes the phone and reads everything twice. Her jaw tightens, just slightly, but enough for Emily to notice. Nathan asks how long Carver has been playing them. Grace admits she does not know. If Carver was with Travis from the beginning, then the government's own files may have been used against Nathan. The case that once looked solid is suddenly built on sand. Grace explains the worst part. Carver gave the government enough real information to seem useful, while secretly warning Travis who was in danger. Nathan says Carver gave them real names. Grace confirms it. Travis used those names to decide who to protect, who to punish, and who to silence. Then Grace says Dominic Reeves was on that list. Emily understands at once. Travis did not kill Dominic just to send a message. He removed a loose end, then framed Nathan so police would look in the wrong direction. The murder was not random. It was cleanup disguised as revenge. Grace looks at Emily with new respect. This civilian is keeping up with them step for step. Emily realizes the murder was not only a warning. It was Travis trying to erase his own trail, while using Nathan as the scapegoat. Nathan stands and walks to the window, his back to the room. Emily knows enough by now to read the silence. He is not giving up. He is absorbing betrayal and deciding what to do with it, without turning around. He says one name, Marcus. Grace freezes. Emily feels the air change before anyone explains why. Nathan asks if Marcus was on the list Carver handed over. Grace hesitates for a second. And that is enough, then she says yes. Marcus was in the first debrief. Nathan turns around, face completely controlled, the kind of calm that comes before destruction. He understands now. Carver leaked Marcus' name. Travis found him. Marcus died 2 weeks later. Grace says they do not have proof yet. Nathan's answer is quiet and dangerous. Find it. Emily sees then that Marcus was not only guilt. Marcus was the reason Nathan burned everything down. This is no longer just an agent and an informant talking. Grace and Nathan have spent more than a year in the same darkness, trying to survive it from opposite sides. Grace promises she will get proof. Nathan nods and sits. Emily moves her hand near his. He turns his palm up, and their fingers lock without either of them needing to speak. Grace copies Emily's research onto a secure drive. Before leaving, she asks how Emily found the Delaware connection hidden in an old archive. Nathan does not answer for her. He lets Emily have the room. Grace admits her FBI financial team missed the connection back in 2020. Emily explains that it came from a footnote in a 5-year-old document. Most people don't read footnotes, she says. I do. Grace gives her a long, serious look and tells her not to leave Nathan's side, because things are about to get more dangerous. After Grace leaves, Emily turns and finds Nathan watching her with that quiet intensity she has come to know. He repeats her line about footnotes with a small laugh. Emily finally laughs too, and for a few seconds the fear loosens. Nathan is clearly impressed. He tells her she uncovered in 40 minutes what federal teams missed in a full sweep. Emily shrugs and says they were searching for a target, while she was searching for the truth. Nathan steps closer and holds her gaze. No polite looking away, no hiding. He says he has to confess something. When he wrote to her from prison and told her things he had not told anyone in years, he convinced himself it was only because she was far away and safe. But that was not the real reason. Nathan admits he thought distance made honesty easy. Then he says the truth was simpler. Emily was honest first, even behind a fake name. She felt more real than anyone he had known in years. He had been starving for that without realizing it. Then he lays out the truth about himself. He is older, he is tied to federal cases, a dangerous man is hunting him, he is not an easy choice. He needs her to know that when they expose Carver, Travis will not simply run, he will try to make someone bleed before he loses. Nathan tells her that if she stays, she has to stay as herself, not as Vanessa, not as someone pretending to be tougher than she is. He asks if she truly wants this life. Emily thinks of the lonely woman who joined a prison pen pal program just to feel alive. The woman who invented a fake name but poured her real soul into the letters. She is done disappearing. She tells him he does not get to push her away for her own good. She has spent her life fading into the background, and she is finished running. Nathan's hard exterior finally cracks and Emily sees the man beneath it. Their quiet okay feels less like a word and more like a promise. The next morning at 7, Emily wakes stiff and exhausted in a hotel chair. Nathan is still awake, fueled by black coffee and pure determination. A blanket has been placed over her shoulders. She knows he must have done it sometime before dawn. Then the phone rings. It is Grace. She gets straight to the point. Carver was picked up at 4 in the morning, and he is already talking. The game has changed. Emily keeps digging through records, and another piece falls into place. Travis Kane has a hidden property only 6 blocks from the library. This was never a quick visit. He came to stay close, watch closely, and finish what he started. Emily asks what finished means to him. Grace answers plainly. It means Nathan goes back to prison or stops being a problem entirely. Grace tells Emily to stay put. A security car is coming. Nathan looks at her with controlled focus, already thinking 3 moves ahead. Emily can almost see the old strategist returning behind his eyes. Emily realizes Travis has been nearby for weeks, watching the library, watching her, learning the rhythm of her ordinary days. While she shelved books and drank coffee with Diane, he was only blocks away. She whispers that he knows her whole routine. Nathan tells her this is where things go wrong with Carver talking to Grace. Travis's plan is collapsing. A man losing control does not wait politely. He runs or he makes one last desperate move. Travis has already lost his empire once. He will not accept losing the revenge he built from its wreckage. Nathan says Travis Kane does not run unless he has no other option. Emily understands. He is going to move fast. Nathan confirms it. Before Grace can get enough from Carver to corner him, Emily asks how much time they have. Nathan says hours, maybe less. Then her phone rings at 8:47 a.m. The number is unknown. Emily almost ignores it, but dread settles in her stomach. She knows before she answers. Travis' voice comes through smooth, precise, and unhurried. It is the voice of a man who still believes the board belongs to him. Travis begins by saying he heard Carver had an early morning. Emily pretends not to know what he means. He laughs softly and says of course she does. She found the Delaware filing. Then he tells her what she found is only paper. Clever librarian work, but paper can be explained away. It cannot place him near Dominic Reeves. Emily says that is for a court to decide. Travis answers that it would be, if the case ever got that far. Then his voice sharpens without getting louder. "Miss Carter," he says, "I want you to take a walk." Travis tells her to leave the hotel immediately and walk north on Clement. He says he will explain what the next 24 hours will look like for Nathan, for Emily, and then he pauses before adding Diana's name. Emily's breath catches Diane, her ordinary, kind, unsuspecting friend. Travis mentions Diane's online course and the street where she parks every morning. He has been watching her too. Walk north on Clement. "You have 10 minutes. The call ends." Emily lowers the phone slowly while Nathan is still speaking to Grace. All she can think about is Diane. Diane has nothing to do with any of this. At 8:47 on a Tuesday morning, she is exactly where she always is, at the library. Emily thinks of Vanessa, the fearless character whose choices never had real consequences, but this is not fiction. Then she thinks of the storage unit, of 61 letters, of Nathan knowing the truth for 8 months and staying anyway. Emily crosses the room and grips Nathan's arm. When he looks at her, she shows him the call log, unknown number, 8:47 a.m., 40 seconds. Nathan's eyes go cold. Into the phone he tells Grace that Travis called Emily directly. Emily repeats every word Travis said, exactly as she remembers it. When she reaches Diana's name, Nathan's jaw tightens. He tells Grace that Travis is trying to force a meeting by using a civilian as leverage. He listens, then asks how fast Grace can get a car to Clement. The answer is 7 minutes. Emily says Travis gave her 10 because he wanted them to think they had time to choose. Nathan says she is not going. Emily says if she does not go, Travis may go after Diane. Nathan says if she goes, he goes after her. Emily knows. But Diane is not a strategy, she is her friend. Nathan tells Grace to send someone to Maplewood Public Library on 5th and Reed immediately. He does not know Diana's last name. He tells Grace to do it anyway. Then he hangs up and tells Emily help is on the way. Diane should be out of the building in 4 minutes. Emily realizes Travis will be waiting on Clement Street for a woman who is not coming. Nathan says that once Travis knows he has been played, he will know his position is exposed. Or Emily adds, he will do something none of them have thought of yet. Nathan looks at her and nods. That is what worries him. Then Emily's phone buzzes with a text from the unknown number. 2 words, "Smart girl." 10 seconds later, a photo arrives. Emily's stomach drops. It shows the storage unit on Brennan Street. Unit 14, the door standing open. Inside is the box of her letters. All 61 envelopes Nathan saved. Beside it sits Carver, relaxed in a chair that does not belong there, holding a phone toward the camera. He is not in custody. The message is clear and cruel. The people they thought had him contained do not. Emily cannot speak. She hands the phone to Nathan. He stares at the photo. Emily whispers that Grace said they had Carver. Nathan says they did. Someone let him go. He calls Grace, but the call goes to voicemail. Then he dials the secondary number she gave him. A strange man answers and says Agent Turner is unavailable and the line is being secured. Nathan hangs up immediately. He looks at Emily with cold certainty. Carver is not the only person Travis has inside, Emily agrees. What looked like one leak is starting to look like a system. Emily's mind starts connecting the pieces again. Eastfield, Carver, Dominic, the mail logs, and now Grace being cut off. If one corrupt witness could move through the system, someone with real authority had to let him. She asks Nathan whether parts of his cooperation agreement are public. Nathan says some sections were unsealed after trial. Emily says if Carver was placed inside the deal and later released, an approving name would appear somewhere, not in the headline pages. In the notes, Nathan understands at once, the footnotes. Emily opens the State Legal Archive database. Her hands are steadier now. Everything is spiraling, but this is what she does. Not Vanessa's borrowed bravery, not performance, this. Documents, footnotes, details everyone else ignores in 11 minutes. She finds the unsealed sections of the cooperation agreement. 4 minutes later, a name appears beside Carver's approval. She reads it twice before showing Nathan. He looks at the screen, and for a moment she sees something raw cross his face. Not calculation. Not control, a flash of real emotion, gone almost instantly, but she saw it. Emily asks if he knows the person. Nathan says he testified in front of him. The man sat on the oversight committee and approved every step of the cooperation agreement. His name should not appear beside Carver's file. That approval should have come from the prosecutors. Emily finishes the thought, but it did not. Nathan stands slowly. This goes higher than Travis. Travis is the man carrying out the revenge, but someone with a title protected the road he used to get here. That is why Grace's calls are not going through. A powerful federal official, protected by rank and procedure, has just been exposed by a librarian reading the fine print. Emily and Nathan cannot simply send the file to Grace now. Nathan says Grace may be cut off or compromised. They have to go above her. Straight to the Inspector General. Travis may have reach, but he cannot control every part of the federal government at once. Emily prepares the evidence. She labels every file clearly, attaches the source records, and timestamps the chain. Her fear is still there. But it has work to do now. Nathan tells Emily to upload everything immediately. They need the files locked somewhere Travis cannot erase them. Emily's thumbs move quickly across the screen. She sends 4 things: the Eastfield records, the Delaware company, Carver-S connection, and the photo from the storage unit. At 9:23 in the morning, the upload goes through. A confirmation number appears, and Nathan writes it on his hand. He does not trust screens alone, not with men like Travis involved. Emily takes a picture of the number too, then sends it to herself twice. Nathan walks to the hotel wall and knocks a coded signal, meant for the federal watch outside, assuming they have not been compromised too. Then he sits and stares at the 9:23 timestamp as if it might detonate. Emily's phone vibrates. It is Diane texting from the library. 2 large government-looking men are near her desk, claiming they are there for protection, and she wants an explanation. Emily apologizes and promises to explain everything later. Her hands shake only after she sends the message. Diane is alive, for the moment. That is enough. Diane. Being Diane adds that one of the agents is very tall and she is choosing to enjoy the view. Emily tells Nathan Diane is fine, and Nathan almost smiles. Then his burner phone rings. The number is unlisted, one Grace made him memorize. It is the Inspector General's office. They received the upload and are opening an emergency review. They ask whether Emily and Nathan are in a secure location. Emily says they are barricaded in room 509 and have had a long morning. The voice on the line pauses for half a second, then asks for the confirmation number. The peace does not last. 3 minutes later, Grace calls, her voice shaking with anger. She has been placed on administrative hold. Someone high up saw the file and sidelined her to protect themselves. She tells them to stay in the room. Then heavy boots thunder through the hotel lobby below. Nathan stands. Emily rises beside him. They look at each other, the air thick with fear and resolve. Nathan says that whatever happens, they hold the line. Emily repeats it back this time. The words feel less like courage and more like a decision already made. When Emily says the words, she is not pretending to be brave. She is not hiding behind Vanessa or her quiet job. She is holding evidence powerful people want buried, and she is refusing to drop it. The boots move down the hallway and stop outside the door. 2 sharp voices cut through the silence. Nathan grips the handle while Emily stands behind him. 3 heavy knocks. Then a voice calls out that they are from the Inspector General's office and quotes the exact time of the upload. 9:23 a.m. They demand to see Nathan Cole and Emily Carter. Nathan does not open the door immediately. He asks for badges under the door. A federal badge slides across the carpet, and the name matches the secure message. Only then does Nathan unlock the door. 2 exhausted agents stand outside. The woman wastes no time. They need to move. The corrupt official Emily identified had benched Grace 40 minutes earlier, which means the upload reached the right people. The people trying to hide the truth are already breaking procedure. Nathan glances at Emily, and she understands what that means. They hit something real. The female agent looks at Emily, as if she just handed them the missing piece to an impossible case. She says the evidence chain is clean, simple, and impossible to ignore. Nathan says with quiet pride that Emily is a librarian. The agent asks Emily to walk them through every digital footprint. Emily says she has the timestamps ready. The male agent lets out a disbelieving laugh, then pulls himself together. They move down the hallway quickly, not in panic, but with the controlled urgency of people who know time is running out. In the elevator, Nathan stands so close to Emily that their shoulders touch. Neither of them moves away, in all the chaos. That small contact steadies them. Nathan asks where Travis is. The agent says he vanished 20 minutes after the upload. The moment Emily's file hit the federal system, Travis knew Emily understands immediately. Someone must have set an alert for his name or for Eastfield. The agents stare at her, surprised by how fast she makes the connection. Nathan does not look surprised at all, he only looks proud. Emily explains it plainly. Travis has someone inside watching the system. If his name appears, he gets warned. The agents need to check who accessed the file after 9:23. The female agent starts texting as they hurry through a side exit into freezing air. A black SUV waits outside, engine running. Soon Emily is inside a federal building that feels more like a command center than an office. Phones ring. People move fast. They are placed in a bright conference room and handed terrible coffee. Even in a crisis, Emily thinks. Government coffee somehow manages to be worse than hotel coffee. For 3 hours, Emily leads the room through the evidence. She keeps it simple. Eastfield became a Delaware company. Carver stayed tied to Travis. And someone high up approved the connection. She does not speak down to anyone. She lays out the trail the way she would teach someone to use the library catalog. One step, then the next. Until the pattern becomes impossible to deny. Nathan sits beside her and watches. Her ordinary skills have become extraordinary, because the problem finally needed exactly what she knows how to do. Emily realizes she is no longer being protected from the room. She is helping run it. Then Nathan gives them the operational details. He explains how the syndicate moved money, how Travis rebuilt pieces of it after the arrests, and how Carver kept the old network alive from inside the federal case. At 11:42, Emily's phone lights up, unknown number. The room goes still. The female agent silently signals for everyone to wait. Emily answers on speaker. Travis says he always knew Nathan would hide behind paperwork and women. Nathan's face goes hard, but Emily lifts one hand, asking him not to speak. This time she wants Travis talking. Travis laughs and says Carver is already gone. Emily calmly says Carver was never loyal to him, only afraid of him. That lands. Travis' voice sharpens. He says loyalty died when Nathan betrayed Dominic, when he talked to the FBI, when Marcus opened his mouth and paid for it. Nathan goes still. Every person in the room hears the name. The agent points to a tablet. The call is being traced. Emily keeps her voice steady and asks what Marcus paid for. Travis answers before he can stop himself. He says Marcus paid for thinking Nathan could save him. Nathan closes his eyes and Emily sees the blow land. The room is silent except for Travis breathing through the phone. Emily asks if Travis gave the order. Travis says Nathan built the world where orders like that meant something. Then he adds coldly that Marcus died because Nathan forgot who owned the streets. The agent writes one word on a notepad. Enough. Another agent mouths the location. Millbrook Avenue. Emily keeps Travis talking for 12 more seconds, just long enough for the arrest team to move. When the call cuts off, Nathan is staring at nothing. Nobody speaks at first, then the radio crackles. Travis Kane is in custody. He was taken while trying to switch cars behind an abandoned repair shop on Millbrook Avenue. A weapon was found under the seat, along with burner phones, cash, and copies of Emily's letters. Nathan does not react like a victorious man. He looks like someone who has just heard a ghost speak out loud. Under the table, Emily takes his hand. His fingers close around hers. Hard enough to hurt, but she does not pull away. At 2 p.m, Grace Turner is reinstated. The administrative hold on Grace came through the same corrupt oversight channel, Emily exposed in the footnote. Once the emergency review began, the attempt to silence Grace became evidence against the people behind it. 4 hours after being sidelined, Grace walks back into the room, furious but focused. She looks straight at Emily, the one variable no one accounted for. Grace says the call gave them what they needed on Marcus. Travis tried to hurt Nathan one last time, and instead handed them the missing confession. Emily feels Nathan's hand tighten again. Grace drops a paper folder onto the table. In a room full of screens, the paper feels intentional. Eastfield Logistics had been investigated twice, once in 2020, and again in 2022, and both investigations were buried. The man who buried them reported directly to the corrupt official Emily, found in the footnote. The room goes cold. Nathan realizes the connection was protected for years. Grace points out that Emily's obscure newspaper archive is not even in the federal database. The case had not been missing evidence. It had been missing someone who knew where forgotten records go to sleep. Grace says no federal analyst would have followed that path, unless they knew state library archives intimately. Nathan says it required a librarian. Grace agrees. She looks at Emily with respect, not warmth exactly, but something close enough to matter. She says Emily's evidence chain is the cleanest she has seen in 14 years. No guesses, no dramatic leaps, only facts. Then she asks if Emily has done this kind of digging before. Emily says she finds things people want hidden. Diane would probably call it nosiness. But Emily prefers research. Grace says Travis is already breaking now that the call is recorded, and Carver has no reason left to protect him. Carver confirms the Eastfield link and names the corrupt official. Travis' own words tied him to Marcus. Nathan's jaw tightens. But this time the truth is not only pain, it is proof. Grace tells them they must remain available for the next 72 hours for interviews. Then she asks Emily whether she is going to be a problem. Emily answers that she is a librarian, she keeps records, and she is never late. Grace almost smiles before turning back to the files. Grace Turner actually smiles for a second before returning to business. By 4:30, Emily and Nathan are cleared to leave. They take the same armored SUV out through the side exit, but the air feels different now. The tension has loosened. It feels like breathing after hours underwater. Emily sits beside Nathan, watching the city blur past the window as the day finally settles into her bones. The truth is out. The danger is not gone. But the lie has cracked open. The car stops first at the library without Emily asking. Nathan already knew she needed to check on Diane. Emily rushes inside and finds Diane at the front desk, glowing with the energy of someone who has just brushed against a crime drama and wants the whole story. Diane sees her and loudly calls her the woman who brought federal agents to the library. Emily apologizes, but Diane is clearly enjoying herself. She flashes a business card from one of the agents and says it was for safety. Then the humor fades, and Diane gives Emily a serious, protective look. She asks if Emily is really okay. Emily says yes, then corrects herself and says she is getting there. Because it is Diane. Emily lets the tough act drop. She admits it has been a brutal day. Diane gives her a firm, grounding touch that feels like her version of a hug. Then she brings up the beginning of all this, the pen pal flyer she left on the table months ago. Diane asks the question Emily knew was coming. Is Nathan worth all this danger? Emily thinks of 61 letters, of a man who knew she was lying and kept writing anyway, of storage units, federal files, and his hand holding hers while Travis finally said Marcus' name. Emily smiles and says yes. Diane nods as if a theory has been proven and tells Emily to go sleep. She demands the full story by Thursday, 6 weeks later. Justice finally moves with force. Travis is charged with murder, obstruction, witness tampering, and evidence manipulation. The oversight official Emily exposed is suspended, setting off a federal probe that opens 3 more cold cases. Carver flips and tells them everything. The men who believed they could hide behind procedure begin turning on one another, and the case grows teeth. Carver's confession and Travis's recorded call become the final pieces together. They prove Travis ordered the hit on Marcus in 2019, using the same system Nathan once helped build. Grace delivers the news with Emily beside Nathan. Nathan does not collapse or cry. He is too practiced at holding himself together. But Emily sees something inside him shift. The guilt he carried for years does not disappear, but it changes shape. It stops being a ghost and becomes a truth he can name. She stays silent beside him in the hallway, giving him room for once. Nathan does not have to turn the pain into strategy. They walk outside in silence. Nathan stops on the sidewalk and looks up at the sky, breathing like a man waking from a long nightmare. He says Marcus was only 22. Emily tells him she knows he has carried that guilt for 6 years. Nathan admits the pain does not go away. Emily says maybe not, but now it has a name and that changes something. Then she quotes his own letter back to him. Naming your demon is the first step toward surviving it. Nathan is left speechless. He remembers writing that line in a prison cell. He never expected it to come back and save him. Nathan says he wrote that line to Vanessa. Emily answers that Vanessa was only her trying harder, and he always knew who she was. He looks at her in a way she will spend weeks trying to name. Eventually she realizes the word is seen. He sees the lies, the fear, the flaws, and still chooses her. He quietly says he knows. Emily takes his arm 1 year later. Emily Carter stands in her local library before a room full of people attending her writing class. No fake names, no hiding, just peace. Earned the hard way. The contrast is almost unbelievable. Emily now runs a small writing workshop, and the room is full, a retired teacher. A 70-year-old man carrying decades of things he never said. And a woman who admits she has lived behind a false identity. For so long she barely remembers what came before it. Emily looks at her with quiet understanding and invites her to sit. Nathan is in the back row, as he is every week, drinking coffee from a paper cup and saying nothing. He knows this is Emily's room, and he is careful not to take up too much space in it. Emily opens her notebook at the same table where 1 year earlier, a headline had shattered her life. She reads the first line aloud. The first lie I ever told him was my name. The room goes silent. Then she reads the next line. The first truth he ever gave me was that I was worth finding anyway. No one moves. The retired teacher lowers her pen. The old man stares at his hands. Emily does not explain the line. She lets it stand on its own. Because some truths lose power when you rush to soften them. The woman who said she had forgotten herself closes her eyes, visibly shaken. Emily looks around the room. Past the front desk, where Diane is absolutely listening, past the library shelves, into the quiet life she fought to protect. Her eyes find Nathan in the back row. He watches her like she's a mystery he will never get tired of studying. Emily closes her notebook and gives the group their prompt. The first lie. The first truth. Write about the moment you stopped pretending. It does not have to be long, it only has to be real. The workshop ends with pens still moving across paper later. Diane locks up and gives Emily a knowing look before Nathan steps forward to walk her home. The vendetta that once swallowed her life is over. No black cars follow her. No burner phones ring. No red messages arrive on old letters. Travis Kane is in federal custody. The corrupt oversight official was forced to resign. Grace Turner received the kind of promotion that keeps a useful truth-teller close. Carver disappeared into witness protection. Emily does not pretend the world is harmless now. She simply knows she can live in it. Carver, a man who once traded in other people's secrets, now lives inside a secret himself. There is a certain justice in that. Emily walks through the park and still takes the left path by instinct. Some survival habits stay, but at her apartment, she simply turns the key and goes inside. No checking behind her, no scanning for danger. Nathan notices and says she did not check the lock. Emily says she checked it that morning, and that is enough. She leaves the door open for him. The dead plants are gone, replaced by 2 healthy ones. One of the plants is growing so fiercely it almost seems personal. Near the bookcase is a framed page. It is not a family photo. It is Nathan's first letter to her, the one that arrived 11 days after she sent Vanessa into the world. In it he wrote, "You sound like someone who understands what it means to feel like a ghost. I have been waiting a long time for someone who understands that." Emily framed it 6 months ago. It was not the most beautiful thing he ever wrote, but it was the beginning. She did not frame the letter because it looked pretty. She framed it because it was the spark. It was the moment their web of lies began turning into something real. It survived the false names and the truth that came after. Nathan notices the frame every time he visits, though he never comments on it. He sits on the couch like he belongs there while Emily makes coffee. Real coffee, not the bitter hotel coffee of safe houses and interrogations. She brings it over and sits across from the man who once seemed like a threat. He takes the mug with both hands, as if ordinary things still surprise him. They sit in a silence that is heavy but comfortable, the kind that belongs to 2 people who have already said the hardest things. Nathan asks about the woman from the workshop, the one who said she had forgotten what truth sounded like. Emily looks at him. Nathan says the woman reminded him of Emily the first night at the hotel. Emily admits she saw it too. He asks if she told her. Emily says no. That woman does not need Emily's story. She needs her own. That is the point of the workshop. Nathan nods, understanding more than he says. Nathan tells Emily she is good at giving people permission to be themselves. She creates the space, waits and lets them step into it. Then he says she did the same for him in the letters, before he understood what was happening. Emily grips her mug and says she did it as Vanessa. Nathan disagrees. Vanessa was only the door she used to reach that part of herself. There is a difference between the door and the person who walks through it. Emily looks down. Not ashamed anymore, only thoughtful, for once. The name Vanessa does not feel like a lie. It feels like a bridge she no longer needs. Emily looks across the table at Nathan Cole, 58 years old, steady in a way that came from surviving betrayal after betrayal. He burned down his own criminal empire because Marcus, a 22-year-old kid, deserved a better life. It cost him power and safety. And he paid anyway. He read Emily's letters for 8 months, knowing they were built around a false name. But he kept answering because the truth inside them mattered. Emily looks at him and says, "I am not Vanessa. It is not an apology. It is a fact." "I know," Nathan says. "I have always known." Emily nods. "Good." She reaches across the table and straightens the frame, holding that first letter. A small gesture from a woman, no longer trying to hide her history. Her hand stays on the table, and Nathan covers it with his. The apartment settles into quiet. Outside, the city keeps moving, unaware of the old wars laid to rest in that room, on the windowsill. Both plants catch the fading light, both alive, one almost defiantly thriving. Emily Carter spent her life learning how to disappear. She is finished with that now. She is here under her own name. Emily Carter's story teaches a powerful lesson about honesty, identity, and the courage to be seen at the beginning. Emily hides behind the name Vanessa Reed because she believes her real self is too small, too ordinary, and not brave enough. Vanessa becomes a mask. a safer version of herself who can say bold things and write without fear. But the story slowly reveals that the truth was never in the fake name. The truth was always inside Emily. This is an important educational lesson. Pretending may protect us for a short time, but it cannot give us real freedom. Emily thinks Vanessa is braver than she is. But in reality, Emily is the one who writes the letters, asks the difficult questions, searches for the truth, and finally stands her ground. Her journey reminds us that confidence does not come from becoming someone else. It comes from accepting who we are and learning to act with courage in our own name. Nathan's reaction also gives the story emotional depth. He knows for months that Emily is not Vanessa, yet he continues writing because he sees the real person behind the lie. This teaches that true connection is built not on perfect presentation, but on emotional honesty. People do not need to be flawless to be worthy of love, respect, or understanding. For viewers, this story offers a meaningful message. Many people create masks because they fear rejection. They act stronger, happier, or more successful than they really feel. But healing begins when they stop pretending. Emily's greatest transformation is not falling in love with Nathan. It is learning to stop disappearing from her own life. The story encourages us to ask ourselves, are we living as ourselves, or as a version we created to feel safe? Real courage begins when we answer that question honestly.